For our mind map project, we chose the topic intellectual and developmental disabilities. Learning disorders are when a child has some difficulty acquiring some academic skills but not others. The characteristics of learning disorders are average or above average general intellectual ability. There are no sensory or motor disabilities associated with learning disorders. There are academic struggles. 80% of students that have learning disorders are male. There are 3 different types of learning disorders: dyslexia, mathematics disorder, and disorder of written expression. Dyslexia is when the child has problems with perceiving letters and words correctly. A mathematics disorder is when a child has trouble recognizing mathematical symbols or doing different operations. A disorder of written expression is when the child has trouble spelling and writing. Treatments for learning disorders include increasing the child's confidence as well as providing tutoring. It is very important to start interventions early on in the child's development. Causes of learning disorders are related to brain functioning as well as genetics. Research shows that not enough activation in the neural networks hinder reading capabilities. Genetic processes could also be involved in relation to environmental effects on genes.
Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, ADHD, has symptoms of extreme inactiveness, problems with impulse control, and high levels of activity. Kids with ADHD have a hard time focusing and controlling themselves, which could lead to them having problems in school and getting along with other children. Also, they may have different structured brains. ADHD is hard to diagnose due to its various characteristics, but there are some possible suggestions. There could be damage to some cognitive functions, irregularities in how information is processed in the brain, and the neurotransmitter dopamine could also be connected to ADHD. Also, if the child's neurons are constantly underfiring, that could lead to ADHD, which leads to the use of stimulating drugs for the treatment. There are 3 characteristics for children diagnosed with ADHD. Number 1, inactiveness, which is when the child has a hard time concentrating, gets easily distracted, and is forgetful. Number 2, hyperactivity, which is when the child has a hard time sitting still and talks a lot. Number 3, which is impulsivity, which is when the kid has a hard time waiting, interrupts others when they are talking, and has difficulty thinking about consequences. ADHD does have many treatments, one of them being stimulating drugs, for example, Ritalin or Adderall, which help the child become more calm and concentrated. Besides drugs, there are other treatments such as affective programs, which are catered uniquely to the child's needs. For example, applied behavioral analysis and educational management. The educational management program helps make the environment more suitable for the child.
Intellectual disabilities is a condition characterized by significantly sub-average intellectual functioning, along with limited self-help skills, for example, how much they can help themselves. Some of the causes could be linked to genetic disorders, hereditary disorders, environmental factors. 2 common genetic disorders include Down syndrome and Fragile X syndrome. Hereditary disorders include phenylketonuria. Environmental factors include fetal alcohol spectrum disorder and brain trauma occurring before, during, or after birth. Another environmental factor could be social deprivation. IQ scores on tests of adaptive behavior, and cultural factors are how they diagnose intellectual disabilities. IQ scores range from mild to profound. Mild retardation IQ scores fall between 55 and 70. Moderate IQ scores range between 40 and 55. Severe IQ scores range between 25 and 40. And lastly, profound scores are below 25. Some of the characteristics are severe issues in intellectual functioning and adaptive behavior. These issues are made evident through a child's conceptual, social, and practical skills. These characteristics are expressed before the age of 18. Many educational and support programs to help parents raise their child that has an intellectual disability.
Autism spectrum disorder is a name for a group of developmental disorders, one of them being autism. ASD has various symptoms and severities of these symptoms. Some of the symptoms include difficulties in social interactions, communication, and behaviors. Males are more likely to show these symptoms than females. Difficulties in social interactions appear in infants that are unresponsive and tend to focus on one thing for long periods of time. Kids with issues in social interaction tend to keep to themselves and not show much interest in making friends or meeting new people. Communication skills tend to be absent. They do not speak much, only in few words. Kids with ASD show repetitive behavior, prefer routine, and could get upset very quickly. Self-abuse can occur, such as biting and hitting oneself. Autism and ASD are most likely diagnosed in infancy and early childhood. Symptoms must be noted and present by the age of 3. 1 in 88 children in the United States will have autism by the age of 8 years old. One type of autism spectrum disorder is Asperger's disorder.
Genes may also play a role in ASD. It can run in the families. For example, if one child has it, then the second child might also get it. There could be problems with the brain as well. For example, there's not much connectivity in the different areas of the brain. There is no cure for ASD, but one treatment approach is applied behavioral analysis, which helps a child gain better social and language skills. Medications and family counseling are also helpful.
Thank you for viewing our mind map on intellectual and developmental disabilities created by Manisha, Kim, and Carly.